following program is intended for mature audiences.
He's standing in front of the net with about 8 inches of his shaft in his hand.
Are you freaking serious?
All right.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Okay. Good, because I just started recording. So we're going to do the NHL thing like Mike and I did a few weeks back with the NFL teams, where we are going to take this opportunity to leave our current teams and pick better new ones. So we'll start with the criteria we did last time. I think we went with the team that has the brightest future. So basically you're looking at like a team that maybe not be great right now, but is set up to do well coming up in the next few seasons down the road. So who wants to take that one?
Oh, in terms of brightest future, I like who do I like? I like Buffalo. I like I would have thought the Panthers were set up for a little bit, but they're having issues now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could just be a bump in the road though.
Yeah, Oilers are now that they've turned the Connor McDavid corner, I think they're going to be okay.
Leafs, I think, are set up for a nice run.
I think the Leafs, once they turn the corner and they start to click, I think the Leafs will be around in our lives for longer than you'd probably like, ultimately.
You can see for yourself.
Well, yeah, they're fine now when they're not winning, but God knows as soon as the Maple Leafs start getting any sort of success, you guys will be insufferable.
I don't know. It didn't happen with the Cubs.
What? No.
I get.
This is true.
Are you accusing us Southern Ontarians of being full of ourselves?
No.
That's a good point, though. Okay, really, I don't know, because I don't know. Mike's really the only Leafs fan I know, but would they be more towards like the Boston side of things or more towards the Chicago side of things? I mean, which one do you think?
Well, I think they're both insufferable at this point, but
even Cubs fans, huh? So this is why I don't.
I'm thinking Blackhawks fans. Is
that's a different thing. Okay, yeah. I'm talking like I guess in terms more of just the fan of that team, not the entire.
I think the fact that the Maple Leafs, even when they were absolute garbage, were still on Hockey Night in Canada every single week. It tells you all that you need to know. Like if the Maple Leafs got any sort of sustained success, or even like won a cup or two, then you might as well just rename the NHL's Canadian broadcast package like the Maple Leafs series of networks.
Yeah, for a comparison, at least in terms people always compare the Maple Leafs to the Yankees. I think in this sense, it's more comparing the Cowboys to. Yeah,
that's a great.
I'd say the Maple Leafs are more like our Dallas Cowboys in terms of coverage, and no matter good or bad, 8-8 or 14-2, you see the Cowboys just as much as anybody else.
Okay, that makes sense. I get that.
In terms of fans, I honestly don't know, because I think we've been beaten down enough that I don't think we're going to get too full of ourselves as a fan base if the Leafs start to win consistently. But
Toronto's a big city, man. There's a lot of people in it.
There is. But
a lot of different strokes.
and Southern Ontario's even bigger. Yeah. But I think, I honestly think the biggest source of annoyance wouldn't come so much from the Toronto fan base as much as it would be the fact that CBC would probably show nothing but Leafs games on a 24/7 continuous loop.
Yeah.
If they, won a cup or two.
Well, so all right, so Zach, now that we've got that out of the way, so which team do you like? You got to pick one as you're investing in their future to become a fan.
Investing in the future. Well, I think in terms of this conversation as a whole, as like what team would be my second team, like the Ducks.
No. This isn't your second team. This is a team that you're leaving the Ducks to become a fan of.
Right, I know. In terms of overall, my initial leaning would be Winnipeg.
Okay.
For a lot of different reasons. And I think they have a little bit of the youth thing going for them too, because Patrick Laine is a freaking stud. He's going to be with that team for a while. Mark Scheifele's great. Connor Hellebuyck looks like he's going to be a decent guy in net. They just need some, young defensemen. Even for this category, I threw in a couple there: Florida, Edmonton, Toronto. But I'll go with the Winnipeggers.
All right, Mike.
Zach took mine, Winnipeg.
Okay.
It came down between Winnipeg or Edmonton, and honestly, the one deciding factor for Winnipeg is that if the Winnipeg Jets do experience any sort of long-term success, it would be just a major FU to Gary Bettman, and in a way that the Edmonton Oilers really wouldn't be. So for that reason, I swung for the Jets.
Well, yeah, and you got to think too that the Oilers already have 5 cups. Mm-hmm. So even if they do become successful again, it's not quite the story that Winnipeg would be.
Oh yeah, like in Winnipeg, and I'm still really pulling. I'm still secretly hoping for that one Ottawa Senators Winnipeg Jets Stanley Cup Finals where NBC Sports burns down.
Where you got the analysts on TV going, when did Winnipeg get a team, or Ottawa's got a hockey team? When did that happen?
And the American ratings come in at 50 people.
Negative. They not only do people not watch, they actively went out of their way not to watch.
People unsubscribe from NBC Sports.
Yeah. What is a Winnipeg? I don't understand.
Winnipeg, Ottawa. Is it Canada's capital, Toronto?
Right.
Yeah, just Ottawa, the Ottawa-Winnipeg Stanley Cup Final. I obviously want to see the Leafs win a cup, or preferably more, but just at least one Leafs Cup in my lifetime would make me happy. But the Stanley Cup Finals I secretly long to see is Winnipeg-Ottawa, because
me too. I would love that.
Just because of the complete chaos it would cause for the United States.
I would love that. Let me see. Team with I'm picking based on the future here.
Yeah. Now you're in a tough position because your team, Greg, the Blue Jackets, that's pretty much that would be an acceptable answer, but you can't pick them.
Well, I think we allowed ourselves to stay with our current team under certain circumstances, but with the Blue Jackets, you know what? I would love to say I just stay where I'm at. But I've been down this road before where I've seen improvement, never quite like this, but where they've looked like they were on the right path, and then a disaster would happen. And
you can't rule out the Ohio sports curse. You never know when the NHL equivalent of the Drive might just sink them.
But honestly,
the power play.
God.
My first
Sidney Crosby scores.
My first
12 goals in a single game.
My first
5-minute power play where Pittsburgh scores 7 goals. Yeah, that's
my first thought when we brought this up was Edmonton.
Yeah,
and
you can't ignore Connor McDavid.
Right.
That.
And I think I'd probably go with Edmonton, but after hearing you guys bring up Winnipeg, I like that one a lot too. But I'm going to go with the Oilers. That would be who I would pick. If I were picking a team today based on future performance, I think I'd go with the Oilers because they've had all those draft picks. They've got Connor McDavid, and they've got to put it together at some point, right?
And Connor McDavid is legitimately a Crosby or Gretzky-esque generational talent. Yeah. So you can't go wrong picking him.
But I also think too the Leafs wouldn't be a bad choice. With Austin, what's his name there?
Austin Matthews.
Yeah, Austin
Mitch
Matthews.
Turner.
Matthews scored
Morgan Riley.
4 goals in his first game, which he probably should have never done that because now the expectations are going to be even more ridiculous. But still, yeah, I think I'd go with the Oilers to be my first choice. That's what I'm going to stick with, the Edmonton Oilers. So.
Yeah, I think like Mike said, it was between Edmonton and Winnipeg. Same for me, just because it. No matter what else you think, it's hard to. Connor McDavid's just so fun. He's fast. He's skilled. You can't deny what type of player he is and how much he can change something. And Edmonton had all those first round picks for years, and they built a good stockpile of them. But it wasn't until they got McDavid where they kind of flipped their switch and said, okay, we have to succeed with him. And just the fact that Connor McDavid is that much of a game changer that I think. It won't be too long until Edmonton is the constant in our lives in terms of a playoff team. I think they'll probably make it this year based on the way things are stacked up now, and they'll be there for a while as long as they can pay McDavid.
When the Oilers got McDavid, it was almost like a drug, like this druggie who's been given like one last chance to turn their life around by their parents, and they just like completely took it to heart. Like, okay, no, seriously, no more fucking around.
We're really going to do it this time.
We're really going to do it. We're going to fire everyone who we've been allowing to run our team into the ground for the past 20 years. Okay, we're going to fix it.
Yeah. All right, so, okay, we've done future now, based overall, like a consistent performer not year after year, but, that like I would say like like in the category of like a Montreal or Detroit. Mm-hmm. I know you guys want to hear that, but a Detroit team that's been in the playoffs forever. So who do you pick based on overall consistent performance over the years?
Oh, over the year performances. I'm just trying to look at the thing here.
Like, Detroit's been in the playoffs, 26 straight years? 25.
They're probably going to miss it this year, though. It doesn't look good for them this year.
Or like, I don't know, like historically, but the Canadians seem like they're always pretty good.
Yeah, but even the Habs have their down periods.
But you know what I mean, though, like an NHL version of like the Steelers or Cowboys, Patriots, along those lines.
I think it would have to be the Habs for me. There's so much that I like about I like so many exterior things about the Canadians, whether it's their jerseys or the French Canada and the city of Montreal and all that sort of thing. But
French Canada is the best Canada.
But one of the things that always jumps out to me is just the history. Like when you go to the Bell Center and you see the banners, it really strikes you like, holy shit, this is the team of the NHL. Like if they're in their 100th year, they're going to do all that sort of stuff. And if you had to pick one team to represent 100 years of hockey in the NHL, it wouldn't be the Red Wings or the Leafs or even the Blackhawks. It would be Montreal.
Are you saying it wouldn't be the Predators?
No.
It should be, but probably wouldn't be.
No, it would not be. I don't think it would be the Preds. No.
And just speaking of the Preds, is there like a team better situated right now to change the name to the Biscuits? Come on! After the whole cooking thing,
food,
right? Yeah,
the food critic,
Biscuits of the Baskets,
the Nashville Biscuits, man. I tell you that would really work. But anyway, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, no, just I would for this category, Montreal is my choice.
Mike.
See, this is tough because the two obvious choices would be Montreal or Detroit, but I don't think I could bring myself to go there. Like that's just
go with either of them. Yeah,
see, I think there's a couple other choices too. It doesn't necessarily have to be like great year after year after year, but just.
But I'll tell you who I'd go with in this situation, and
he's going to steal my team. Wait and see. Go ahead.
I would go with this pains me just a little bit, but the New York Rangers.
Son of a bitch, you did. You just took my team. That's exactly who I was going to go with, the Rangers.
I would go with the New York Rangers. They're an original six team, but they never really had much of a rivalry with the Maple Leafs, which helps because it's not Canadians or Red Wings where like there's just too much baggage there for me to overcome. Historically, they've been one of the least successful original six teams, but since '94, they've been a playoff team more often than not. They perhaps should have won at least one Stanley Cup over the past couple of years and were never able to finish it off. But still, it's a team that's always consistently good. They always seem to know how to put together a strong team. And the fact that, my hometown Kitchener Rangers, there's already a lot of affinity for the whole Rangers hockey team thing there. So I'd go with the Rangers.
All right. Well, since you took the Rangers as my first choice, I'm going to go off the board here with a pick that I bet you no one even thought of. And it's because they have been consistently successful, but they've never been able to get over the hump. How about the St. Louis Blues?
I was looking through the teams. That'd be my second choice. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with my St. Louis Blues, even though I've sworn them off. That's who I would pick. I think based on consistently being decent and always at least having a puncher's chance of making it and winning a cup, I think the Blues would be my pick. And but I was, but like the Blackhawks, I think, well, maybe not overall, but recently you'd have to throw them into the mix, right?
Yeah, I think, despite the early stages of the franchise, I think the Ducks are even a good pick.
How about the Penguins?
Penguins,
they've been pretty consistent since Mario Lemieux's days. I mean, not like, dominant dynasty type.
There was a period though after Lemieux's first retirement and before the advent of Sidney Crosby where they were pretty horrid.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the reason they got Crosby is because they were so terrible.
Yeah, you don't get a guy like Crosby because you were consistently in the playoffs every year.
And then they almost moved to Kansas City.
Yeah. I think another good choice, again, despite their history of not winning, is maybe the Capitals.
Yeah.
They were good in the 90s, good through the 2000s.
Like a St. Louis vibe kind of with those guys, kind of the same deal.
Yeah. And then like teams that are on the up and up now. I mean, we always have the Sharks, but I don't think any of us would ever pick the Sharks.
No. That's
no. But they do fit the criteria though very well, actually.
Yeah.
And they do have the most successable men's league, so
right, which you can't underestimate that.
I think a team that's interesting is Tampa Bay, where they were either they make the playoffs or they're terrible. But as of recently, they started to get like consistently good. But even now that they lose Stamkos and they're crappy again, they're not going to make the playoffs in a year where they're crappy. It's just kind of how they do things. They either make the playoffs or they're very successful, or they're terrible.
I'll say that being in Tampa this year to watch this Lightning team has been very illuminating, both good and bad. The good being that I have been pleasantly surprised at just how much of a hockey. I don't want to say hockey town. That still sounds wrong. But how much of a fan base the Lightning seem to have? Like this is a city. I think I mentioned at one point that I had seen more Lightning gear on the streets than I had seen Tampa Bay Buccaneers gear. So kudos to Tampa for that. But at the same time, as far as the team goes, this is a very talented hockey team that you can just see if you watch them consistently enough that it's a very shallow good team. You lose a few like a piece here or there, and it just all comes crumbling apart.
Yeah, like say your leading scorer in Steven Stamkos and your starting goaltender in Ben Bishop, and then then they have the season that they're having right now. So
yep.
What about I don't know. I don't know enough about Dallas to say one way or the other, but it seems like they're, at least pretty solid.
Dallas, ever since they came from Minnesota, they've been pretty consistently competitive. They've had a maybe 1.5 down periods. But overall, they've been a competitive team. I've had too many run-ins with Dallas in my history to really give them any sort of thought. They were constantly the Ducks just went on this road trip where it's just like they were knocking off all these cities where they just have all these shitty records. And they've played in Dallas more than some of these other cities where they were bad. But Dallas is the city where they have the most losses in their history.
Really?
It's just like, yeah.
I'll tell you this about Dallas. I considered them both because they always, since moving from Minnesota, and even for the last few years in Minnesota, they had a finals appearance in there that really, I guess, is sort of the genesis of their run of success. But they've been consistently good for a while now, save one or two down periods. The thing that really turned me off to them is their stupid Jumbotron. Like, just fuck you guys. Like
one of the things that currently bugs the shit out of me about them is that stupid bang guy behind the net.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? I don't get it. What are you doing?
I hate to say this because this is almost something you can't take back, but the Dallas Stars are kind of quickly approaching San Jose Sharks levels of like insufferability.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's some strong words, Mike.
They're pretty goddamn annoying, and it's like all these Stars fans are just so like they have this chip on their shoulder for whatever reason, so they like to chirp up Jamie Benn as being like one of these NHL talents that we don't see enough about. But guess what? Jamie Benn's also kind of like boring. Jamie Benn's just kind of like a guy that's good and kind of an idiot.
I for one thoroughly enjoyed his story in the Players Tribune, where it basically amounted to, "I'm Jamie Benn. I like to drive on the highway and then play hockey.
I drive listening to techno music as I see the Dallas skyline."
Good gig if you can get it. All right, so let's move on to the most important categories now, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yes, indeed.
Historical jersey and current jersey. We'll start with historical. Any jersey from any era, who do you pick, Zach?
It's one of the reasons why I like Montreal so much. I want to lean toward it's in terms of jerseys alone. Boy, it's either Montreal or Chicago, and I think I gotta go with Montreal. It's classic. It's with both those teams. They're just jerseys that haven't changed like at all over the course of once they adopted them. They've been this way for at least 50, 60 years.
Well, that's the thing. They're good examples of a team that when they got it right, they didn't mess with it. We've got it. Let's just leave it be. We'll tweak it what's necessary, but
yeah, and even some of the newer teams, like a team like the Islanders, I really like what the Islanders have, but they've tweaked it a lot. They've dabbled with it a lot.
Yeah.
I just like the Rangers, but the script is just kind of classic. But I think Montreal is one of those jerseys that has the perfect balance, a unique style to them that nobody has really touched until Florida decided to get it on the chest stripe game. But in terms of historical jerseys, got to go with the Montreal Canadiens.
Mike?
Well, the Islanders, I just want to mention, for as good as the Islanders' uniforms generally have been, this is a team that cannot seem to get it right when it comes to alternate uniforms.
Yeah.
Be it like the traffic cone ones or the first black alternates or the one with the chrome or the new Brooklyn alternates, like they just can't seem to make alternates work for them.
Yeah, maybe that's a sign that you've got a couple of good primaries. Why not just leave well enough alone?
Mm-hmm.
Just stick with what you're good at.
There's a lot as far as uniforms go. Like there's a lot of really good NHL uniforms. And I think this is almost where the Dallas Stars would come into play, because I am of the opinion that the Minnesota North Stars uniforms from 1989 to 1991 are some of the best hockey uniforms of all time.
Okay.
And so that is kind of where I would lean. But at the same time, I don't know. No, I'm going to go with it. Stars, because of that 89-91 North Stars set. It's just that good.
Okay. Let me think here. I would probably any jersey from any era.
Yeah, it's hard when you open it up to everything, because you get all these classic teams. Like, is it really, like, if you pick a 70s or 80s Bruins jersey, is that really a bad thing? No. The Red Wings, same thing. I mentioned the Rangers. The Devils have never changed their jerseys except for a color swap, but those are solid hockey jerseys.
I was almost going to say the Devils just because they've always looked good, and I thought that the green and the red looked really sharp as far as throwbacks went. Like, there's a lot of really good hockey jerseys. Like you open like the Penguins or
Penguins, inaugural Sharks, even
the Flames. Like,
Flyers jerseys are great.
Hockey has just had a lot of really good uniforms, even outside
Hartford Whalers.
Yeah, I was going to throw the Whalers in there.
Hurricanes in there.
But then you'd have to go. But if you said Whalers, and that would mean you're committing yourselves to the Hurricanes. This is a team that can't even keep ice ready. So
that's true.
I'm going to throw the Nordiques in there as well, as far as the classic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Nordiques, and then you get those original Avalanche jerseys, but the current things are something I don't know if you could live with.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, but for the Avalanche, though, I think there's a good chance they're just going to go with the state flag inspired look full time.
I don't even like that. Like, that's just.
It's better than the primaries, and that's really all that matters at this point.
It's better than the primaries, but I don't like it still. It's just, I don't know.
My pick is the New York Rangers, based on the primary looks a great look, and you've got the Liberty jerseys from what was the year they had both the blue and the white, 97, 98, somewhere in there.
I don't think they ever. According to NHLuniforms.com, they never had the blue and the white Liberty jerseys during the same season.
Really? God, it sure feels like they did. But anyway, so with those two as alternates, I'm going to go with the Rangers. Although, I would, if it wasn't for the fact that the Avalanche followed, I'd go with the Nordiques too, because that was a great look, and the Whalers, another team that I think would be a great look.
Here's where it gets.
When you're talking about the Rangers too, you gotta not forget 1976 to 78. But those 2 years of the
no, we can forget.
They put
those.
the crest.
We can forget those.
Or that 1 year in the 30s where they inexplicably just like had it baseball style, like horizontal, like kind of arched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
The Red Wings is another choice too, but it's not bad. If the Oilers hadn't screwed everything up, all those, for the times that they did, I like theirs a lot too. Islanders, I'm with you, Zach, on the Islanders. It's just, yeah.
Here's the problem with the Nordiques, though. Like, if you assume an alternate history where they never became the Avalanche, then those Nordiques jerseys were really nice. But then, if they never became the Avalanche, they probably would have worn that teal and purple snarling wolf jersey for at least a few years.
Yeah, but they would have come back to the original look because people would have hated
they would have eventually. I can tell you exactly how that would have played out. They would have worn that probably until 2001, 2002, until fan pressure demanded that they return to the original colors. So then they would have just recolored those uniforms in blue and red for a few, up until the Edge rollout, where they would have brought back the original logo, but it would have been overpiped and stupid. With piping everywhere until finally they adopted like a Heritage Classic throwback as their full time, probably in the last 2 years or so.
Yeah, I was going to say, so we're probably only a year or so removed from them actually getting to the jerseys that I like.
Yeah,
around,
basically.
Yeah. And another sleeper, like you'd mentioned in one of the previous categories, Greg. I think the Blues, outside of the original Edge jerseys, the Blues have had pretty good uniforms from start to finish.
Yeah.
Whether it's the original ones with the lighter blue and the lighter yellow, they had that weird phase where they had the blues over the blue note, but that's not too bad. I even like the jerseys where they had the red in them. Those weren't as bad as people think they were. I mean,
with the diagonal striping.
Yeah. I thought
you know
it had
what?
good balance.
Thank you for saying that, Zach, because I was kind of ashamed to admit those are actually my favorite Blues looks.
Oh, yeah. The stupid thing about them, of course, is the numbers on the back, which they line up with the diagonal number.
Yeah.
Stripe, which is stupid. But
which looked really bad when Gretzky was there because he was 99, but the 9s didn't match.
Right.
That's another era I just as soon forget was Gretzky playing for the Blues.
Yeah,
I can handle the Rangers, I can handle the Kings, but the Blues, that's a bridge too far. I'm sorry. Yeah. And finally, go ahead.
But yeah, the 2000s Blues and the current jerseys that they're modeled those ones after with the navy blue and the light blue, it's just great. They're solid.
Yeah, Mike just put a picture up of Gretzky and Brett Hall, and God damn, that looks stupid. 99 on the back. It just looks dumb. Okay, and finally, current jerseys.
Ooh. Well, let's see. Well, I have NHL uniforms current 2016-17 jersey listings up. Man, you don't want to pick one of the classic ones that haven't changed, or something that we've picked.
Yeah, we got to go in the new direction with this, because it'd be easy just to say, okay, I'm going to stick with the Rangers or whatever. But yeah,
Montreal or Chicago.
Yeah. So let's eliminate the original 6. We can't pick any of them because that's just too easy. And go from there. I think
it's pretty easy to eliminate Colorado and Calgary because they're the only ones that are still hanging onto those stupid apron stripes.
Like you go back to the original Edge rollout, and every other team has come to their senses. Like or at least every team that had those stupid apron stripes came to their senses, except those two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with under the criteria we've sort of laid out. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Mm-hmm. Fine choice.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, you almost want to discount them a little bit because they're throwbacks, but
that's true. That's a good point.
Right,
they're not bad. They're not bad.
So
I'd still stick with them, but
man, it's tough. When you take out like the traditionals and that, it limits the field quite a bit, actually.
To me, I mean, obviously you see a lot of the similar aesthetics in terms of striping, but something that's unique as among the teams that nobody really has copied that well, and is quintessentially the look of that team, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah,
the orange with the white shoulder stripe. The only team that even has something similar right now is Winnipeg, but they're different enough. And the Flyers look is unique. They've stuck with it for the most part.
It's a great color scheme.
Yeah, quintessentially Philadelphia Flyers. So if I use a current jersey scheme outside of the original 6 and anything truly, I mean, yes, this is throwback inspired, but I think it's what the Flyers
but they've never ever really gone too far from that look. I mean, they've tweaked it here and there, but it's always been this. Essentially, is what you're seeing now has always been them.
Even when they tweaked it, it was still orange body with white stripe coming off the shoulders.
Yeah.
So I go Philly.
I'll just say this to anyone who hasn't seen a Philadelphia Flyers sweater in person: that orange is just beautiful when you see it in person.
It's something that's I could never find properly recreated, like in like a flat graphic form. Mm-hmm. It's something that's very striking when you do see it in person.
The best way I can put it is that if you see a Philadelphia Flyers sweater on a shelf or hanging in a sports paraphernalia store, you almost kind of want to lick it. It just looks like a creamsicle.
No, I agree with that color. I've never there are so few colors that you just can't replicate with a camera or with anything else. You just have to see it in person, and I think that their orange is one of those colors because I was stunned by how different they looked in person than they had because I'd never seen them until I saw them play the Jackets a few years ago. And that's a good choice. I think I'd go with Philly too, based on everything else. That's a good choice.
I'm also going to add a caveat. If you want to discount the Flyers because it's a straight throwback, I'm also going to throw out, and this is sort of repeating a team I picked earlier for a different reason, but the Jets. The Jets have a really solid look. So
yeah. Who else? You know what? I'm going to give my Blue Jackets some love here. I think they would be okay. I mean, it's a little derivative of a few teams, but you know what? I think it looks good.
Honestly, I don't think the Blue Jackets are derivative of anyone.
I think they're a little derivative.
Who though?
I think if you, well, I mean,
kind of rangery.
Yeah, kind of rangery. Yeah, and not necessarily like they purposely did that. It just turned out that way.
Yeah, I mean, blue jersey, red pants. It just kind of ends up looking that way.
Right.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I've never really sort of seen them as infringing. The closest, I guess, is the alternate and Winnipeg, I guess, kind of occupy the same space. But
well, here's an interesting question to throw out, when it comes to hockey jerseys, because I think when you look at them, they all end up looking kind of the same, where you get a shoulder yoke and arm stripes, a hem stripe. Of the teams that you would consider a modern jersey aesthetic, what is your favorite modern jersey styling among the NHL teams? Obviously that takes out like the original 6. It takes out teams like even Dallas. You would take out
Carolina, Tampa, that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, Carolina's kind of a piece of shit no matter what.
Carolina is at you can truly appreciate how bad Carolina's uniforms are if you go watch the video the Hurricanes put out, like the making of. Yeah. Where you see on the designers' laptops, like at one point they were considering just doing the Red Wings jerseys with a Hurricanes logo.
But when it comes to something modern, you know what? I would even include San Jose as something that's modern because it's not traditional.
No, it's not.
This is actually a really easy answer for me. And I have a sense that it would be an unpopular opinion if you pose this elsewhere, but for me, it's the Arizona Coyotes.
Okay, you know what? The new stuff doesn't look too bad now that you mention it.
When they were first unveiled, I think we didn't like them a lot. I think
we didn't.
I wasn't a fan, but as they've worn them, there is something to them that I do like. I don't know if they'd be my favorite modern jersey right now. I think in terms of what you would consider a modern jersey, I like Columbus and I like Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, I would say, is another one that qualifies. Winnipeg definitely pulls it off nicely. My problem with Columbus isn't even that I think the home and away are bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that I really love the original alternate that the current look was based off of, and the current look just really doesn't replicate that as well.
Yeah.
And so
when they were bigger, baggier jerseys, the kind of design they're going for looked better.
It had a thicker stripes along the sleeves. It had a thicker hem stripe, and it even used a little bit of black that I thought was a rare case where it actually worked. And I don't know. Now I just can't see, when I look at the Blue Jackets uniforms, I go like, that's pretty nice, but I know it's not as nice as it could be because I've seen the original jerseys that they based those off of, and they were better. So
you know what's funny is that I guarantee you that 98% of Blue Jackets fans, you would put those two jerseys side by side, they wouldn't know the difference. Well, they really wouldn't. They'd be like, I don't get it. What's the problem? And it's just funny.
The original jerseys were great, but I think the thing that bugs me about them so much is that I had always thought that they were navy blue, a darker blue, the shoulder stripe part was just dark blue. Mm-hmm. But when somebody finally told me it was actually black, it ruined them for me because it's not that it's something I didn't notice before, but it's like once you know that it's black and not actually dark blue, it's like the contrast is so bad.
And not only that, but I don't know if you've ever seen those jerseys in person, Mike, but they don't look so good in real life, like with the black and all that. They're
I've always liked it, but I would say for me, Winnipeg looks nice as far as modern goes. I really like Arizona's low because I think in terms of trying to figure out a way to do color placement on a hockey sweater that isn't just traditional stripes along the waist, stripes along the arms. Having that capped area of just solid black on the sleeves is a pretty neat way to go about it. And I'm with you, Zach. I did not like these when they were unveiled, but the more that I've seen of them, the more I like them. I think I like the home brick red ones a bit more than the road whites. But all in all, I really do like what they've done. And
I could swear we thought that they were okay when they were unveiled. I don't remember us hating them.
I think you were the one that liked them. I know I didn't.
I remember being disappointed because I saw a really good concept. Because basically what happened was someone leaked what they looked like out to someone on the boards, and they did a concept based off of that information. And then the uniforms that ended up being unveiled matched that information, but it matched in a way that I didn't think was as good as the concept. And so I was feeling a bit disappointed at the time. But the more that I've seen them, I've kind of come around. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's actually a pretty sharp look. So, yeah, Arizona's probably going to be my favorite modern look. Thank God nobody here said Colorado or Calgary, because that would have been a...
I'm going to go with you guys with the Coyotes on that one, too, because I remember liking those a lot when they first came out. We're going to wrap it up. We will see you next time. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. The website's basicallyasportshow.com. Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, and Facebook. And with that, we are done.
Go Jets, go!
Go Jackets.
Yeah!